So we have a move to amend the business agenda to remove from current consideration the new contract in Resolution 4805 NCS Pearson Inc. contract for $400,000.
No, to vote on it separately.
Right.
Not remove.
So it's
So
going to.
you're talking about removing it.
We're just going to
That's
remove
fine.
it at this
Okay.
point, and it'll become its own. Yep.
Okay.
So with that contract removed, are there any other discussions about our business agenda?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
U.S. Department of Education Race to the Top funds. I'd like to know what we are getting and what our responsibilities are, because we had the big fight over the Race to the Top funds, not when I was on the board, but previously. It was even brought into the newspaper and stuff, and it was an incredible stuff, and here we're back with the Race to the Top funds again. And I just want to be careful that we're doing, what are we going to get for these? And what are our costs for these? In other words, what do we have to do? And what are we going to get out of the Race to the Top? Let's deal with, we've got it with, just to kind of help the people in the audience who may not have, we're going together with Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene to do something, but I don't know what it is.
So this is actually on the revenue contract, and it reflects a grant application that we've not yet submitted, but makes it visible that we're in discussion and preparation to submit as part of a consortium, as Director Buell just indicated, with Salem, Eugene, Beaverton, and Portland. And it is to create a college and career readiness consortium between the 4 largest districts. And it is a grant. We were in discussions in one of the previous rounds for a Race to the Top application with Portland Association of Teachers on a different application. This one actually, the core of it started with Eugene's application, and then and Salem. They both did independent applications focused on college and career readiness. They then subsequently invited Beaverton and Portland to participate in the conversations to see if we could, as the 4 largest districts, really collaborate about what we're doing to prepare students for college and career readiness. It dovetails with some of the work that we're each independently doing in our own districts, and we have the opportunity to tailor it to our own districts. It does require that all 4 districts have the participation and the sign on both of your mayor of our respective cities, us as a school district, and our teachers association. So, and the teachers associations of all 4 districts have been in communication with one another. It's one that both Eugene and Salem have been, their associations have more deeply been involved in the preparation, because this was a continuation of a previous grant, whereas Beaverton and Portland were more in the conversation, as newcomers to this particular one, but we're really, again, tailoring it to ourselves. So we are in that conversation with PAT and with the city of Portland.
So what do we get out of it, and what do we have to do? What do we get from it? I mean, it's a consortium. What is?
So here's
it's a consortium. Are we going to buy people, and are we going to have to then spend more time training our people? I mean, what is? How does it work?
So Director Buell, did you get the application? I believe staff forwarded that to us. So it's a 133-page that would articulate all the information that we're required to do. And
here's all the stuff I got. Is it
yeah, it would have been via email because a question came up, and so they sent it to us all via
133 pages by email?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. And actually, I can get you a copy that's a full copy of the application. And it's actually in draft form at the moment.
What does it do? What does it do, and what do we end up having to do? What do we get out of it, and what do we end up having to do?
So it is, and I'm going to actually ask you to, I'll prepare a copy of the application for you and print it out for you.
Can we table this till next time and add this to our meeting so I can get the information and theoretically read 133 pages, which I didn't. I don't know.
Did you give me a copy of it?
It came by
So-
email, but there isn't a hard copy.
Well, I don't remember seeing it on the email.
So
Just roughly speaking, part of what we're collaborating on is with the 4 districts, looking at what we're each doing to prepare students for college and career readiness. We're also partnering with the University of Oregon EPIC on college and career readiness assessment tools that we would each be utilizing in order to measure college and career readiness.
So are we giving kids more tests beyond what we're giving them now?
They would be employing some of the assessment tools, yes, as part of this. In terms of what we actually do to participate, some of the requirements for Race to the Top also require us to participate in specific ways that we evaluate our teachers, specific ways we evaluate our superintendents. I mean, so there are requirements that we're saying, which is the substance of the conversation we're engaged in with our Teachers Association.
So in anticipation of Director Buell, you possibly wanting to pull us out, I realize that we can't have two amendments without voting. So you had originally amended our original business agenda to remove the NCS Pearson contract to move to its own resolution.
If this has to be okayed by maybe I can get us out of this hole here. I can get myself out. This has to be okayed by our teacher union?
Yes.
Okay. In order to get the grant?
Yes.
Okay. And they haven't okayed it yet?
We're in the conversations.
All right, fine.
Yep.
And the second thing is that if somebody's going to ask me to read 133 pages, and I'm not directing this at you, but I don't want to read it off my computer.
We'll print out a copy.
I mean, I'm 68 years old. My eyes aren't that great. I read off the computer all the time, but if I'm going to read 133 pages on something that's really important to me, I don't want to do it off the computer. I'm sorry. And I don't want to do it off my
You don't
iPhone
have to
either.
apologize.
So Director Bill, I'll be happy to provide you with a full copy.
Okay, that would be great. And why don't I just abstain from voting?
On the business agenda?
On
So-
this part of the business
So
agenda.
that's what I'm
the big
saying.
one.
So-
And then I can,
Let-
that'll let us go forward, because I'm sure the vote's going to be 6-0. No.
Let's do this. So let's vote on all in favor of amending our business agenda by pulling out the NC Pearson contract. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please indicate by saying no. No. So by a vote of 5-1, I'm sorry, was student representative voting?
Yes.
Yes. By a vote with 5-1 with Student Representative Davidson voting to remove NCS Pearson from our business agenda to its own resolution. Now, at this point, Director Buell, we can move on and vote on the entire business
I
agenda.
think that's the best for the board.
Okay. Or we can also remove that and make it its own resolution, and you can vote on the rest of the business agenda.
I don't think it makes much difference. Go ahead and do the fastest, which is just go ahead and
Okay.
vote now, abstain from it.
Great. We will now
Save us
vote. We will now vote on the business agenda as amended with NC Pearson, Inc. contract for $400,000 removed. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. Are there any abstentions?
Abstain.
By a vote of 4-0, with one abstention and Student Representative Davidson voting
Yes.
yes. The business agenda is approved.
Director Buell?
5-0.
No, it was
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Versus 5.
Director Buell. Oh, is it
Abstain.
5? Oh, sorry,
There's
5.
Ruth's missing.
Math. Is it 9 o'clock already? 5-0. Or 5-0 to 1 with Student Representative yes.
Could I just, I just wanted to comment on this collaboration with these other districts, and as a general rule, I'm really excited that we are looking at this kind of collaboration. As far as I know, all of these districts have better graduation rates than us. We could probably learn something from them.
They get different.
And what I'm excited about also is that this isn't just about kids graduating, it's about college and career readiness specifically. So I'm wide open to any kind of collaboration like this with other districts.
I'm sorry if I missed you during the comment
Sorry.
period. We will now vote on Resolution 4809, which is the NCS Pearson, Inc. contract for revenue contract for $400,000. Can I get a motion and a second to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Director Regan moves to adopt Resolution 4809. Director Morton seconds. Is there any board discussion on it? Director Buell?
I'm going to apologize before this, comments on this, because this is, before this discussion, because it's going to be just a little bit longer. I want to explain what this, how this works to people in the audience, people on television, and to, I don't know if I need to explain this to board members, maybe I do. The way this kind of stuff, I want to ask first of the superintendent, does this deal, because I asked these questions and try and tell the staff ahead of time, and what the things that I got back were kind of unclear a little bit, the response, and this also deals in some way with the proficiency-based House Bill 2220. That's
So-
the proficiency grading stuff.
So what this
So some of this has to do with that?
So what this is specifically a contract for is professional development for over a 3-year period for both teachers and principals in proficiency-based credit, awarding of proficiency-based credit,
Okay.
and also formative assessment. And so it is a contract specifically for professional development and training for our staff.
Does it have to do with the proficiency-based grading, HB 2220?
Proficiency-based grading, yes.
Okay, all right. Then let me explain how this stuff comes about. What happens is you have a group called ALEC, which we know about, which is pretty right-wing group of legislators, national legislation group, and it's legislators all over the country in this group, and large corporations come to those people, and they lobby them and give them money in order for, and what ALEC does then is they come up with templates of legislation across the country, and they send those templates out to different legislators who are in ALEC, and those people then bring those to the state governments and try and get bills passed that have to do with this ultra-conservative, pretty right-wing, even though a lot of other kind of people get involved in this, like our governor was in ALEC, not when he was governor, but previously at one point. And so these then come into state legislatures, and state legislatures make motions. And those motions generally have to do with who the people who gave money and lobbied ALEC was. Now, Pearson, who we're talking about here, is the biggest people in the country that do this. It's a huge corporation, and they have an agenda, and their agenda basically is, we're going to push things that eventually then make us money. And so, if you go back and you think about the cartoon character that Camel used, to try and get their kids involved, or you think of a Happy Meal at McDonald's. Well, Pearson basically does the same type of thing. Now, is this evil? I wouldn't say it's evil, it's business practices. This is not a conspiracy theory, this is business practice. And business practice is to get these things into state legislatures that then they push, which causes people to buy things from Pearson. So we had proficiency-based grading, which doesn't really do anything for our kids. And we got that, and that came through on the sly, 2011, on the sly. Nobody's paying hardly attention to it, like they were in the last legislature, where people were paying attention to everything. But this kind of slips through, and now they're saying to us, okay, you've got to do this, even though it's not helpful for our kids. Now, here's the tricky part, is it's got this germ of truth in it. Wouldn't it be nice to to understand how my kids were doing in everything without their homework involved maybe, or without their attendance involved? Well, of course it'd be nice. The classic example of this is the stuff that we're doing with teachers that came through, which is we're going to use the children's test scores to evaluate the teachers. That's a classic ALEC move. And so what happens with that is, even though it's no good, and everybody who pays any attention to educational research or educational stuff knows that the test scores are worthless, basically, in evaluating teachers. Everybody knows that, but we still got it through. And so these things come through like that. And so this is another example of coming through the legislature, comes out to us, starts with Pearson or whomever, maybe it's these big, huge corporations that want to make money, and so they push these things through, and they go all the way into state legislature. We don't think about it. We think, oh, it came out of Oregon. No, they come out of, these are national things. And they end up in our legislature. Because you always find somebody, if you're going to give them enough money, or you're going to give them such and such to do these things. So here we get to Pearson, $400,000. And what does it do? It deals with proficiency-based grading, which came out of the legislature, which probably came out of ALEC, though I'm not sure, came out of someplace, and came eventually from probably Pearson to begin with. This thing's around. Now, I think somebody has to say no to this kind of stuff. No, this isn't good for our kids necessarily, even though it has this germ of truth in it. And what I say about it is not just no, it's not good because of this system. It's no because we can't afford it. We don't have $400,000 to put into taking this stuff and dealing with our teachers and trying to get them to understand proficiency-based grading. Let's go down to Medford, I think, has a pretty good plan. Let's go down and just borrow their plan. Let's give them $10,000, so we save $390,000. Or let's hire our own person for $100,000 and give them a $47,000 budget, $1 for each kid, and then have them come up with a plan. But coming up with this spending $400,000 is not what we can afford. Think what you could do with $400,000. We could put a half-time librarian, certificated librarian, in every one of our 8 bottom K-8 schools, bottom in terms of test scores, K-8 schools, in all 8 of those schools, we could put in a half-time librarian for $400,000. I mean, it would be an incredible thing. Anybody who does research knows that the best thing for teaching kids to read is to have a certificated librarian in there. So instead of spending $400,000 for certificated librarians, which by the way would not benefit Pearson Education at all, Pearson Education doesn't get benefited by anything that goes directly to kids, and they don't get benefited by any time you add staff. They don't get anything out of that. So it comes around and we're handing them $400,000, which we could really spend someplace else. We can't afford this. I'm going to vote no on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Buell. Any other comments? Okay, well now.
Well, I share Director Buell's concern about ALEC for sure. I don't know or understand that Pearson is completely tied to them, but I have huge concern.
They're not completely, but they do.
Yeah, I have huge concern about ALEC also. I think it's something that we all need to be aware of and be paying attention to. I'm not sure I see the direct correlation here.
Okay. Director Curler?
I guess I have a question for Superintendent Smith. So if we all voted no on this, what's the impact to us, to our students, and to the district?
Good question.
So I'm going to say that I think proficiency-based credit allows us to be responsive to students in terms of really assessing where they are in their learning and continuing to provide opportunities for them to gain proficiency. So I think we have a deep interest in having our staff and our instructional leadership trained in a common means of assessing that, regardless of whether we have this in the legislature or not. It's something that it's a direction we're interested in moving as a district in terms of what meets the needs of kids. The other thing I'll say, would we invent another way to figure out how to do this? Yes. The opportunity to work with the 2 people, Rick Stiggins and Ken O'Connor, who we would be doing through this professional development, is a great opportunity. So Rick Stiggins is somebody local. ATI is the Company Assessment Training Institute that was acquired by Pearson. So we had a relationship with them prior to them being acquired by Pearson, and they've been a good professional development opportunity for us that meets our needs. So would we invent another way to do it? Well, we would figure out another way to do it. So,
Director Buell?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure 2 things. One, this didn't necessarily come from ALEC. That's a typical thing. So I'm not, this is a typical ALEC thing, though. This is where this is how it works. And the other thing is, I've heard wonderful things about Rick Stiggins, and this is not in any way. I just want to make sure it's never in any way directed at him. He's evidently, he's a guy I'd love to have. I
Yeah.
think he's a great guy to have working with us, from what I can make out, from friends I have who really know him, and he was one of the early guys in Oregon Save Our Schools that they talked about, hey, this guy does some really good research, this guy does some good stuff. So that's it. I just don't think we can afford it. Part of our job as the stewards of the money, we can't afford this. If we can afford, let's take this money and put it where it makes more sense.
So can I make 2 other comments? What would-
Sure, and then we're going to go to a vote.
Then we'll go to a vote. Just one that I also appreciate Director Beal's concerns about ALEC and impact. So that one, I totally appreciate that. And the other one is just the impact of having professional development that we're providing in a system our size, the ability to provide consistent professional development of something we're trying to move across an entire system is an invaluable investment of getting the consistency of practice across the system. So, and the opportunity for people to work on that. So that's the other place that I also would say it's an investment in our folks and in improving our practice.
I know you want to vote, but let me make one more comment, and then we're home free.
No, we're moving on to a vote.
I just wanted to comment, though.
Nope,
we
not
didn't,
recognized on the floor.
400,000.
We're now going to vote on
I have an easier way to
Resolution
do-
4809,
I'll save you
NC Pearson
300,000.
Inc. contract for $400,000. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. All those opposed, please indicate by saying no.
No.
Resolution 4809, NC Pearson revenue contract for $400,000 is passed by a vote of 5-0, with student representative Davidson voting
Yes.
yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So there's been a request for a call to the vote. Ms. Houston, can you call off roll call so that we can vote individually, please?
So it's 5 yes and 1 no.
Director Regan?
Yes.
Director Morton,
Yes.
Director Curler,
Yes.
Director Knoll,
Yes.
Director Buell,
Yeah, no.
Chair Belial.
Yes. Resolution passes by a vote of 5-0, with student representative still voting
Yes.
yes. Thank you. The next meeting of the board will be a business meeting on Tuesday, October 1st, 2013 at 12 noon. This meeting of the board is now adjourned.